That's 2 wins in a row against 2 division rivals, and this team is starting to play like the way we know that they can. What's going on, Avalanche fans? Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Chris Maselli, with another episode of the podcast dedicated to your Colorado Avalanche. And the Avalanche win their second game in a row. They get back to a 500 record. That's always good. You've won 2 games in a row, both of them against division rivals. That's always good. And the Avs are just starting to play better. Like we always knew that they would. They just needed to get games under their belt. They just needed to get some key players back. And you see the difference. You see the difference with that and some guys stepping up. And it showed in a 4-1 win against the Minnesota Wild. So we'll talk about all of that and then some. First things first, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. It is always appreciated. Follow the show on social media outlets. On Twitter, on Twitter, LOPN_Avalanche. On Instagram, Locked On Avalanche. Questions, comments, concerns, opinions, go to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com and follow the show's YouTube channel. Just hit subscribe and get notified whenever a new episode goes live. So big difference when Kurtis MacDermid is not on the ice. Is it not just right in front of your face? Didn't play today with Sam Girard coming back. They kept Jacob MacDonald as a forward. Interesting how at the beginning of the season we kind of heard that MacDermid might be someone who they would throw in on the forward lines. Never really talked about Jacob MacDonald being that guy, but at least for yesterday, it was. I think, and with MacDermid only getting 7 minutes or so for the past couple games, you knew his time was going to be coming to an end somewhere soon. And it is a world of difference. The Avs can really he's not out there a lot, obviously, but for those few minutes that he was out there, he's obviously a big liability. And now you don't have to worry about that part of it. And you can throw anybody you want out there on the defensive end and you're comfortable. They just seem to flow better. It's amazing how that one guy who didn't play all that much, how much of an impact he has on how this team plays. But the Avs, they still had to overcome some injuries. Burakovsky went out with, I think, a lower body injury. I don't know what it was. They didn't really show any replay. And even after they knew that he got hurt, they didn't really go back and say anything or show anything with what it might have been. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Hopefully, this is something Avalanche fans are all too familiar with. So, you get one back and then you lose one. You get Girard back and then you lose Burakovsky. And man, did you almost lose Bowen Byram. That was a horrible, horrible hit by Brandon Duhaime of the Wild against that. I mean, that was pretty much what happened to Girard from Stamkos. Was it not? And I am so up in the air on if the Department of Player Safety is going to do anything. I have no. Should they? Absolutely. Will they? I couldn't tell you. Maybe because Duhaime doesn't have a name like Stamkos, maybe they will go after him. I don't know, but initially he didn't get a game misconduct. He went to the box. First of all, awesome for Nathan MacKinnon. I mean, he was the closest man to him. He threw down, and you know MacKinnon will do that. MacKinnon is not one of those prima donna superstars where you go after his guy, he's going to go after you, especially something like that. If you didn't see it, basically, it almost mimicked what happened to Girard, just behind the net instead of on the side. And Byram, he went right to the locker room. He did come back and he played a handful of minutes after that. Didn't really seem like he was all too injured. But we've seen before, after a night sets in, you wake up the next day not feeling too well. So you'll still have to keep an eye on him. But that's just a horrible, dangerous play. Yeah, just plowing him into the boards like that. So we'll see. I mean, it doesn't really affect the Avalanche on if he gets suspended or not. But I think Avalanche fans just want to see, are you going to be consistent? Well, you're not. But are you going to do anything? You can do anything for that happening. And if you don't, you're continuing to condone guys really just throwing their weight around and throwing their bodies around and throwing other players into the boards head first. And if you're okay with that, you're going to have a lot of problems on your hands. You're going to have a lot of injuries, and worse than that, because guys are going to know that they can get away with it and have reckless abandon and not care. And someone's going to get even more seriously hurt than Girard, who was out a couple games. But other than that, the Avs overall, very, very strong game. Again, a really good first period. They got that first goal, which is obviously always big. Gabe Landeskog with a huge game, 4 points for him. They just look like they're all getting on the same page. They do. The passing is crisp. First period was great. Second period, I mean, it went either way. You probably could say it would shift towards the Wild side, but that's going to happen. The other team is trying too. The other team is going to make adjustments, come back and give you different looks. You have to adjust to that. The Wild missed a lot of opportunities. The Wild had a lot of good chances that they just miffed on. And it wasn't like, I mean, Keumper played a good game. Again, another solid game from Darcy Keumper. But the Wild had a couple spots where they had, I don't want to say a wide open net, but a pretty good look, and the puck would just roll on them, or they would shoot it wide. It happened a number of times. So I think the Avs got lucky on a couple spots, which is fine because you need that in a game. But the Wild could have made it closer than it was. But you have to kind of give the Av credit here for kind of withstanding a big charge on many occasions by the Wild, especially in the second and a couple times in the third. I'd say actually more in the second than the third, but there were times where the Avs were dog tired and Minnesota couldn't get anything past Keumper. So it was a combination of good defense, hard work and good goaltending. And when you're talking about hard work, how do you not talk about guys like Logan O'Connor and Jacob MacDonald? Can't say enough about those guys. You need guys like that on this team for this season. O'Connor was kind of set. MacDonald is making a case because they really, once Taves comes back, they don't really have a place for him on the defensive end. I mean, if you want to keep Newhook down there for now and leave Jacob MacDonald right where he is, I think the Avs are okay with that. You ride the hot hand. I'm going to say like he's got a hot hand, like he's scoring goals left and right, but his work ethic is unmatched. Maybe the only guy that matches it is Logan O'Connor. And I absolutely love O'Connor being on the second line. That infuses a jolt of energy right off the bat. Because like I said before, you're going to get that from the first line, but to follow that up right away from the second line is perfect. So I think he fits nicely there. That third line, which was, I think it was Comfort, Jost, and Kaut, was it on the third line, I believe? I mean, I think the way that the lines are set up right now, I'm all right with. And you ride that until you have to change it up, and that's okay for this team. You change lines up all the time. So we'll dive into kind of numbers here. But first, we're going to hear from Built Bar, and you know Built Bar, and you love it. It's the best tasting protein bar on the market, and they have so many delicious flavors to choose from, it's impossible to pick just one. And if you can't, you can get a mixed box. We'll get 2 of each of 9 flavors available, such as coconut, raspberry, mint brownie, double chocolate, salted caramel, German chocolate, So many good flavors to choose from, and they're the best tasting, but they are also healthy. 17 to 18 grams of protein. Calories range from 130 to 180. Only 4 or 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty and all healthy. Go to builtbar.com right now. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and you will get 15% off of your order. And once again, that promo code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at builtbar.com. All right. So stat wise, looked good for the Avs in terms of, shots on goal. After the first, you were cruising. I think it was, let me see here. It was 15 to 8 in the first. Minnesota flipped that in the second, 15 to 8 in their favor. And then the Avs only had 8 shots on goal compared to Minnesota's 7 in the third. Yeah, you're kind of playing a little bit of defense, when you have the lead in the third. But the second is where Minnesota really kind of turned it on for the Avs. And the Avs kind of, I don't want to say struggled in the fact that, they didn't look good, but Minnesota was throwing everything at them. So in one aspect, it's good that the Avs kind of, didn't really let anything in. I think, when did they, was in the second, so the Ryan Hartman goal came, I think, late in the second. But the good thing about that is the Avs followed that up almost right away with an absolutely amazing effort by Nathan MacKinnon. He was a one-man show, especially on that play. I mean, got the puck in the neutral zone, maybe almost went through 3 zones, I think, but more or less had it in the neutral zone, flung it into his offensive zone, just back-checked a forechecked it. I don't know who it was in Minnesota, and then collected the puck, hit a streaking Eric Johnson for a goal, and that was like a minute, if that, after the Wild goal. So that's what you want to see. There's going to be times where the ice gets tilted in the other direction and you're playing well overall, but the other team, they're battling and they're trying to fight back, and they do. They get a goal, but right away you come back and match that. And now you're up, and then you don't relinquish the lead after that. As 1 for 4 on the power play, it was, a little iffy. I'll say this though. The one that they did get was when Nathan MacKinnon was in the box. He was in the box for defending Bowen Byram. So he got 2 minutes for roughing, I believe. So that power play goal came when he was in the penalty box. I guess that's a good way to look at it, because he's obviously your number 1 guy in the power play. So if you can put one in when he's not on the ice, great. That's good. But the downside of that is, the Avs were on a 5-minute major because of the hit to Byram, and that's all they could get. I think that goal came, it wasn't very long. It was seconds into that power play, a 5-minute major. And then basically 4 minutes and 45 seconds, they couldn't get another one. And that was in the third period. If you just wanted that other one to really kind of put the game more out of reach, because you had most of the third period to go and you were up 3-1 at that point. But if you could get up 4-1, then you got Minnesota scrambling. But they couldn't get it through. So is it still a problem? Yeah. Did you see improvements? I wouldn't say you saw big ones, because again, even on that 5-minute major, I think there was a few minutes left in it, a couple minutes left, and the Wild took another penalty. So they were 5-on-3 for a little while, a good amount of time, and they couldn't get anything out of it, not even a 5-on-3. And by this time, MacKinnon was out of the box. So yeah, it's like, it's still not where it needs to be. And, you got one good, but you still need to build on the power play, if anything. Point wise, like I said, Landeskog was the man tonight. 2 points, or excuse me, 2 assists and 2 goals, 4 points for him. Burakovsky did have an assist, and it was a beautiful one to get to Landeskog's first goal. MacKinnon went cross ice from almost center ice to Burakovsky, who put it on a stick for a split second, threw it across to Landeskog for an easy tap-in goal. It was just a pretty goal. That's what the Avalanche can do when they're on their game. And again, Burakovsky's out. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Kadri with a goal. The second Landeskog goal was an empty netter. That was eventful. There was a penalty going to be called for a hold on McKinnon, but because Landeskog was trying to give him a little bit of a lead pass, and McKinnon got held up, but the pass just happened to be on net, but it hit a post and kind of trickled in. And that happened, with just about a couple minutes, obviously in the empty net. So an eventful empty net goal for Landeskog for his second. Who else we got? McKinnon with 2 assists. Keumper with 2 assists. He continues to play well. 2 more points for him. He's looking good. He's looking good to start this season. And I think he's comfortable on that third line. You're not pressuring him when you put him up on a second line to be more than he needs to be. Him playing with his good buddy Tyson Jost, the Haunted House Men. I think he likes right where he's at. Even though Jost didn't have anything today, he still looked good. Jost is fine. I'm happy with how he's doing. On the defensive end, Erik Johnson not only had the goal, but he also had the assist. He was the only one that had points. And I said, Jacob MacDonald. Oddly enough, he only had 7 minutes and 19 seconds of ice time. But in that 7 minutes, he had 4 shots on goal, 2 hits, and a block. The guy, he made his presence known in those 7 minutes he was out there. It seemed like whenever he was, they had a rush going, he was involved. He always had the puck on his stick. I'm shocked. I couldn't believe it when I saw this, and he only played 7 minutes because it seemed like he was out there for a lot longer. And when he was out there, he was everywhere. He's fun to watch. He puts it all out there. He loves playing for this team, and I think he should stay right where he is. Same thing with who didn't get a lot of minutes. Martin Kaut didn't get a lot of minutes. He had almost 10 minutes. Ranta saw a lot of ice time. I thought Ranta, again, I've said this before about him. He just seems to be everywhere. He's always around the puck. And I'm surprised he doesn't have more assists on the season just because he seems to be facilitating. And maybe they're just not, he's on a line that they're not. But he was on the second line tonight, wasn't he? Yeah, I think he was with O'Connor and Kadri. Most positive he was on the second. Yeah, he was. So I just like his game. I think he's got a hockey body. He's built for the Avalanche team. He's got good speed. He's physical. I think the sky's the limit for Sampo Ranta. I really enjoy watching him play. So overall, like you're saying, a solid game. And when it wasn't going right, you stood your ground. You gave up a goal, but you got one right back. And you took their best punches. And that's all you can say. So where do the Avs go from here? A couple more things to talk about too in this game. Definitely want to talk about Erik Johnson and what's coming up next for the Avs. But first, betonline.ag. We're back and better than ever with a new web and an interface for the start of the basketball season with more prop bets, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website and sign up, and you receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, the World Series, the NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. It's where the game starts, and that is betonline.ag. All right. Erik Johnson, like, this is the stuff you miss when it comes to Erik Johnson. He's he went from blocking on a penalty kill, blocking a shot with his heel, to which had him doubled over in pain. But he had to, keep going, and he did what he had to do. They killed the penalty, and he went to the bench, rubbed some dirt on it, got right back out there, and that's when McKinnon fed him after that crazy run that McKinnon had for the goal. But he was everywhere. Like he and I think this was his first goal, and they said like 600 days really, when you get out there and you block pucks, you block shots, you hit guys into the boards, when you do stuff like that and you're the age he's at and everybody knows what he brings to the team and brings to the franchise, it just invigorates everybody else. I mean, that's what you want to see out of your leaders. And he doesn't wear the A anymore. Although, was he last night? I didn't even notice because Rantanen is now wearing it. I didn't even notice if he was or not. He might have been. Because, obviously he's deserving, but great game. A great game by him. He just seemed to be everywhere. And he's always got a smile on his face with those missing teeth when he does it. So you love it. Darcy Keumper, I thought, played another solid game. I think this is exactly what the Avs were hoping to get out of him. It was a point where you thought, and that's the thing with Keumper, like anytime he shows a little bit of like, oh, I'm hurt, you're thinking, oh God, like how long is this going to be for? Because that's the rub against him, is he can't stay healthy. It wasn't his fault. He kind of got knocked into by an Avs player and a Wild player that kind of went down in front of him. And the Minnesota Wild player, I don't know who it was, his stick got kind of caught in his man section, which is not going to feel good. So I think he just was hurting for a little bit, but once the pain subsided, he was good to go, which you love to see because he's starting to play very, very well. This is what the Avs wanted when they acquired him. Obviously paid a pretty penny to get him, of which I think Connor Timmins is out for a little while, which was upsetting to see. But I do think, Timmins got hurt for Arizona. So you don't like to see that, an old Avalanche player being out for a little while. But I thought he played overall very well. So from top to bottom, I think you're satisfied with this win. Not that you were, you weren't dominant in the effect that you were in control the entirety of the game. Maybe you were by the score, but Minnesota, both teams were buzzing. The second part of the first period, second half of the first period, there we go, was so exciting. I mean, back and forth, both teams having offensive possessions for extended periods of time, cycling, swirling around, shots on goal. There were times where Minnesota, it was like a video game, back and forth, and puck would just scoot out to the side and guy would get to it and just slap it right back on net. It was great. That was a fun game to watch. Obviously even better because the Avalanche won it, but they like I was saying, you don't want to say that they were dominant from start to finish, because there were times where Minnesota everything was going in their favor. But if you're the Avs, you have to look at it as we didn't let anything up, save for the one goal, which was on a power play, I believe. Yeah, Minnesota's only goal was a power play. So I think you're satisfied with the performance. If you're Jared Bednar, your team is starting to play better. Things are starting to look good overall. And what's up next is, I think your Avs are off for a few days. You're not playing until Wednesday. You're home again against Columbus, who I think Columbus is, they're 4-3 right now. So, those East Coast teams coming over to the West Coast, sometimes they don't play so well, but I don't think it really matters for the Avs right now. I think they are settling in very nice. We'll see what's going on with Mikko Rantanen. Maybe this is a good thing that they have, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off, because maybe Wednesday you get Mikko Rantanen back, and maybe we'll see Taves for the first time, and then you are good to go. But if Rantanen comes back, who goes? Does Jacob MacDonald go? Be sad. I know it's only been a couple games, but he's quickly becoming a favorite just based on the work ethic. But I don't know. We have to do one thing at a time. And one thing that we have to wait on is Mikko and Taves. And then we got a full squad, and we're off and running even more than we are right now. So that will be it. I think that pretty much wraps it up. I don't think I had anything else on the checklist to get to. No. Solid game by the Avs. And it was good that, they weren't playing from behind. Just seems like the Avs were I think at one point when the Avs scored the first goal, a graphic went up on both teams' records when they scored the first goal. And the Avs were only 2-0-0. So they haven't been playing with a lead, at least the first goal of the game, all that much. So this was, yeah. Well, the Chicago game was one that sticks out, obviously, because they played well in that game. But this was kind of like the first game that they were really playing with a lead since then, and not just, giving up an early goal and then trying to fight back the rest of the game. You had a lead, you gave it up, you gave up an equalizer, but you got it right back right away, and then you just continued to play your game. I think this is what we're going to see. Style of play like this is kind of what we'll see for a lot of the season for the Avs. So don't you just get the feeling that they're just getting comfortable? They're just getting comfortable. They know they're good, and they just have to, you're not going to sit back and just assume you're going to win all the time, but you're starting to impose your will, and good things are going to happen. So that will be it for today, everybody. And I appreciate you tuning in. It's always appreciated. And thank you for making this your first listen of the day. Definitely head over to Locked On Fantasy Hockey. If you got a fantasy team, go listen to that show. Awesome updates. Can I say guaranteed to win your league? I don't think I can say that, but you're guaranteed to do well. I'll put it that way. Over at Locked On Fantasy Hockey. All right, everyone. That's going to be it for today. Always appreciated. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.